I took a job looking after a 10-year-old boy who had a disability, and at first I couldn't figure out what his disability as he seemed to have no disability at all. He lived in a poosh house as his parents were quite rich, and at the same time tired of looking after their son who I had heard happened to be troublesome. There wasn't much to do on the list as to what I had to do, except that whenever the clocks reached 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I had to ask the little boy as to what he was thinking. I didn't question anything at first as I didn't want to seem disobedient, and this job paid really well, and I needed the money. I didn't ask what his disability was, but as I said, there was hardly anything on the list to be honest. He was the first child to have less things on the to-do list than previous children that I had looked at out for the past. The parents showed me around the house, and they were going away for 3 months on a very long holiday. I could tell they weren't a big fan of their own son. I honestly couldn't see what their problem was with their son, and he seemed so calm and gentle. I wasn't worried though, as I have had a past experiences dealing with troublesome kids. When the parents left, and I remember my first day with the boy, and I was to stay and sleep in the house as well. I waited anxiously for 3 p.m., and I don't know why I was feeling so worried about asking a 10-year-old boy as to what he was thinking at 3 p.m. When it finally turned 3 p.m., I went up to the little boy and I spoke. "What are you thinking?" And the little boy replied, "I am thinking of ruling the world and dictating everything." And I took a step back and at that reply, and I just walked away. I didn't know what to think of that, what I had just experienced. But imagine a 10-year-old boy saying to you that he is thinking of taking over the world and becoming a dictator. It's quite scary. I cleaned the house and made sure everything was safe and clean for the little boy to live in, and when it came 3 p.m. again, I asked the little boy, "What are you thinking?" And the little boy replied, "I want to murder 100 people." And I froze when he said such a disgusting thing. And how can a 10-year-old boy be this way? He was definitely different toward other children, and he was homeschooled as well by me, which I quite enjoyed. I enjoy teaching maths, English, science, and just the basics, though, nothing special. After constantly asking the little boy as to what he is thinking at 3 p.m., I began to ponder of what would happen if I never asked him at all. I grew curious as to what he would do, and I told myself not to do it. And I looked at the little boy, looking through old pictures, and one particular picture which caught his eye of a man in the 1980s wearing a suit. I do not know who the man was or where the boy had found the pictures. It might have been in his room or some place in the house. I remember that picture of the man. He looked smart. Temptation for curiosity grew strong. And I didn't ask the boy what he was thinking at 3 p.m. When I looked at the picture, the man was missing 2 arms now, and I couldn't believe my eyes, but on how earth he could be missing 2 arms when I clearly saw before that he had all of the body parts. I asked the little boy and replied, "When I was looking at this photo, I felt like going back in time and cutting both his arms, and that what I did." I gasped in horror and confusion, and I had realized why I had to ask him what he was thinking at 3 p.m. I told his parents, and they explained even further that at 3 p.m. his disability or his thoughts become extremely strong, and that time, and asking him what he was thinking kind of disrupts that disability. After that point, I always asked what he was thinking, except for one time where I fell into a deep sleep and had forgotten. Trying to always remember to ask the child what he was thinking at that specific time can be quite stressful and scary, and I had paid the price strongly. And when another day came, and when it hit 3 o'clock, I could not ask the boy what he was thinking, as voice or even throat wouldn't allow it, and even my mind. The little boy smiled and said I had finally become irritated by everyone asking me what I am thinking. So by luck, when you have forgotten to ask me what I was thinking, that one time I had thought about taking your ability to talk or think about it, and I am beginning to like it. And the little boy then disappeared in front of my eyes. He must have thought about going to another destination, place, or even different universe. I told his parents, and they were surprisingly calm, as they had assumed that one day their son would think or do something like this. To this day, they are hoping for his return.